This afternoon, I would like for you to turn to the 6th chapter of Genesis. Genesis chapter 6. And I want us to talk a little bit about dinosaurs and the ark. Now, the story that most people have heard is that dinosaurs died out some 65 million years ago, and that they weren't around when Noah even built the ark. But if we place Job after the flood, the writing of Job after the flood, and if we have in Job 40 and 41, not only the behemoth, a land dinosaur, if you will, we have the Leviathan, a sea dinosaur, if you will, that Job seen with God in their discussion. So, if Job was written after the flood, which we deem as true, and these animals were in the world, the behemoth had to make it through a global flood some way. Now, how did that happen? Well, if they died out some 65 million years ago, there wouldn't have been any dinosaurs. And those that promote this idea that the dinosaurs were on the earth for around 4 million years. They died out about 65 million years. And it's only been about 4,300 years since the ark. They say, well, you know, man did not walk with dinosaurs. But evidence shows that they did. The book of Job shows that he did. They walked with dinosaurs. So how did they get there? Well, if we look at God's written word, we can find the truth. And that's key. Not only do we have all the evidence out there laying in the stratus of our earth, but God tells us about these animals. The Bible tells us exactly how we got these creatures, and I like the word creature better than dinosaur, but those creatures came into being even though they went extinct. And how they got from before the flood, what they call the antediluvian world, to the diluvian world. The world in which we live today. Well, it's noted in Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11, that God made everything in a literal 6 days. You go back into Genesis chapter 1. It notes that God created the world in 6 days. And the word used there denotes a 24-hour regular day that we all know. That's the wording of the passage. Not some millennial or thousands of years idea, but just that time period. Now, on the 6th day, if you go down to the 6th day in Genesis 1, God created all the land animals. He created humans, male and female, Adam and Eve. The Bible records the genealogies from Adam to Christ. All the ages are given in this list. The Son of God came to this earth around 2,000 years ago, and we can conclude that the universe is just a little bit older than that. So, we go to Genesis chapter 6. God created the behemoth on the 6th day. On the 5th day, He had created the Leviathan. Now, thinking of more study, the Leviathan, how did it make it through the flood times? Something to think about. That's the question of the evening. But the behemoth was a land-bearing animal. So how did they make it? Well, this is what the Bible tells us in Genesis 6 and verse 19. It says, "And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every kind into the ark, and keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female." There's a whole lot in that passage. God was going to place in the ark every living thing of all flesh, and they were going to bring 2, now listen to this, of every kind. That's a key word there. Not every species, not every little group, but every kind. Verse 20, Genesis chapter 6. "Of the birds after their kind, and of the animals after their kind, and every creeping thing of the ground after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive." So all these land-dwelling animals, all these birds, all those creepy crawlies, yes, and mosquitoes, was to be on the ark. But it was after their kind, and that's a key word there. In the world today, they have named about 668 names for what they denote as dinosaurs. But there's only 55 different kinds of dinosaurs, or genus. They call it genus. Also, when we think about the ark, and we think about the largeness of some of these animals, these creatures, like the Brachiosaurus, humongous thing, nobody said that it was full grown. Nobody said any of the animals that God put on the ark was full grown. They were of that kind. The animals may have been small animals, teenage animals. The key factor is that there was room for all that God needed to put on the ark. Whenever we think about things like zebras, donkeys, and horses, that's a kind. You didn't have to bring one of each of the groups. You think about dogs, wolves, cows, those kind of things. You didn't have to bring but 2 canines. And remember that all of this is under the power of God. All of this. One person put it like this, and I quote, that Noah had on board with him representatives of about 8,000 animal genera, including some now extinct animals, and around 16,000 individual animals was the maximum number. So not all that many. Not all that many. The key thing is that God said to take those of every kind, and that's what God sent to the ark. When we think about Noah's ark, never leave out the power of God. Now, if we stay there in Genesis 6 and go to verse 15, it gives us the size of the ark. It says, now this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark is 300 cubits. Its breadth 15 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits. And its height 30 cubits. That would make it someplace around, depending on which cubit you use for your calculations, whether it's the royal cubit or the standard cubit, which is about from your elbow up to your fingers. And some of them, if you extend your fingers, it's a royal cubit, and a little different, but pretty close. Would be about 510, I believe that's feet long. Yeah, 510 feet long by 85 foot wide and about 51 foot tall. It would have had the volume of 2.21 million cubic feet. 2.21 million cubic feet of volume inside the ark. Had the capacity of about 500 semi-trailers. So 16,000 kinds of individual animals wouldn't have taken up all that much space when we think about the size of the ark. Besides that, God told Noah what to do, and Noah did it. And as all of these kinds of animals came out of the ark into the world, God's will was with them. If he had a canine, and those two came out of the ark, and they had puppies, what God needed them to be, they became. Never underestimate the power of God. Now, when we think about what we commonly call dinosaurs, it's noted that dinosaurs did well in the antediluvian world. But in the post-diluvian world, it changed a lot. And the dinosaurs just did not fare well in that type of a situation. And so they became extinct. And many other species has become extinct over those years. But God's still in control. So, what happened to the dinosaurs? Well, God put them on the ark. They made it through the flood. And many of them become extinct after the flood. Something for you guys to go back, to look at, study a little bit, contemplate a whole lot. And the reasoning that we're talking about this is a lot of people believe that idea that dinosaurs were in the world for 140 million years, and 65 million years ago they died out, and then along came man out of the ooze of the whatever. It doesn't fit their theories and their thinking. Man and dinosaurs, they were all created the same 2 days. The 5th and the 6th. And man was contemporary with dinosaurs. And we still have some animals that are in essence remnants of dinosaurs. So take some opportunity, study some of this, and share it with others. Because it's like I said a moment ago, there are many people who are interested in the truth about dinosaurs, created creatures. that were created by God. If there is a need on your heart, please let that need be made known. Come now, as together we stand and as we sing.